Fix this and watch your rose bushes change overnight. Today we're pruning roses. And even if you've neglected them for a while, that's okay. You might be asking, why are my roses tall and leggy? How do you prune roses without killing them? When should I prune my roses? That's a big one. And what happens if I don't prune my roses? I got you there. Why do some roses bloom nonstop while other roses don't? I don't know if you've noticed that, but that's also a thing. And I wanted to know for a long time how to make my roses bloom bigger. So we'll talk about that today too. And then some people have been asking me too, do expensive roses, are they worth the money? I don't know. I have some definite opinions on that as well, as does my husband, who isn't quite as dialed in on rose culture as I like to be. And we're also going to talk about roses that are easiest for beginners, because my channel is basically geared toward beginners, but I love advanced gardeners too. So if you're here an advanced gardener, welcome. Let's dive in. If your roses are getting too tall and leggy, like mine weren't leggy necessarily. I grow in Utah zone 7A. It's really more like a 5B. Mine weren't leggy, but they got so tall. My bloomable sweet Mademoiselle roses are 9, 12, 15 feet tall, and they probably would have just kept growing. I just did a really hard rejuvenation prune on my roses, and I feel like that was very needed. It's kind of scary if you've never done it before. If you have a rose that's very sentimental or irreplaceable, I just prune back by about a third, and then next year, so you can make it take a couple of years. You can do a third, the next year bring it down another third, that kind of thing until you get it to where you want. Roses have different kinds of shoots. So there is the cane that comes straight from the root stock or the roots. And so the cane comes up, and then off of the cane, you have lateral branches that come sideways. So I like on my roses to not have the big trunk, like, the big gray bark kind of peeling off trunks. I like to kind of rotate through those over the years, and I haven't been doing that on some of my roses. And so I'm actually going to take a chainsaw. I have a little mini chainsaw that my son gave my husband for Christmas. I'm going to take that and cut off a few of those. I mean, when I say this is a dramatic prune, it is a very dramatic prune, but these roses can take it. They can take it. And I think it's going to bloom even better. It can't get any better than it's already been blooming. I'll be honest. If you live in Utah and you're not growing roses, you definitely want to, because they are incredible here. If you want to know how to prune your roses without killing them, generally you'll want to take a third back and then take out any dead or dying canes, anything that's black kind of from the tips down. Cut that off until you're into the good green tissue. So take out the dead wood, then you're going to take out things crossing into the interior of the plant. Sometimes my canes will cross into the interior. Sometimes my laterals will cross into the interior. I cut either of those out. Unless there's an artistic reason that I want to keep it, then I'll let it stay. But generally speaking, there's not. Especially if you're not in a dry area like Utah, it will help with your airflow and provide better disease pest resistance. Like, think about it. Your birds can get in and eat the pests, and the air can get in and help, move those fungal spores on their way so they're not getting trapped inside your plant. That airflow is super important. When I'm pruning, I'm always looking at the canes for outward facing buds. So they'll have these little tiny dots, and about this time of year when the forsythia is blooming, the little dots will start turning into the buds. The buds, the outward facing buds. And I like to direct my plant to grow outward. So I will cut right above an outward facing bud if I can, because that will help keep the center. You also want the center clean and open, kind of a vase shape. You also want the center clean and open, kind of that vase shape, so that it can get sunlight down inside and again, airflow. They need great airflow for roses. When to prune your roses, this is a little trick I've learned, and I feel like people who've been gardening for a long time have heard this trick, which is when you start seeing the forsythia blooming. I don't have any forsythia in my yard, and I've debated working in one shrub somewhere. If I could find a good dwarf variety, I might stick some in to just be my little telltale signal that it's time to prune my roses. But I just start looking for it in my neighborhood, because there is quite a bit within my neighborhood of forsythia. So when the forsythia starts turning yellow and blooming, that's really time to start pruning your roses. Now, a couple of the areas of my yard are warmer and sunnier than other areas. They faced west facing or they faced southwest facing. And those roses are kind of, I mean, I wouldn't say past the point, but now they're going to bloom later because they've already started putting so much energy into their growth that now that I'm going to go out and prune them, they're going to bloom a little later than some of my other roses that I pruned early on. They're still going to bloom and be beautiful. I like to get 3 good blooms out of my roses at least every summer. And so pruning when the forsythia is blooming is a huge part of that. If you aren't pruning your roses, what's going to happen is they'll get crowded. The blooms won't be as good. You're going to have a lot more pest and disease and bad things to happen. If you don't prune your roses, they get woody like I was talking about. I'll keep the green canes, the new green canes, and then I'll keep 2 or 3 of the green canes and then 2 or 3 of the older canes. The older, thicker canes promote structure. It's very windy where I am. And so that thicker cane will help give structure to your rose plant. Now, I'm talking about hybrid teas, and those are the ones that come up and they have like one big, beautiful bloom kind of at the end. We're going to talk about shrub roses at the end of this video, knockout roses, my beautiful bolero roses, and some of those others. So there's quite a few different categories of roses, but this is the general information that I'm using on all of mine. How do you make your roses bloom bigger? A lot of sun, first of all. So plant them in a nice sunny location. Less than 6 hours of sun, you're not going to get as many blooms. It takes a lot of energy for the plant to convert into a bloom. So you got to make sure they've got good sun. If you've got a tree or something shading it, that might be a problem. So make sure first and foremost, you have sun. Consistent watering is also going to help. Again, I'm here in a desert, and so my watering's all on drip lines. If you don't have drip lines, you might want to consider something like a self-watering planter. Would help you out a lot, the kind that you only have to fill once a week. I have a bunch of different ones that I'll be talking about in a later video. I have a video already unboxing earth planters on my channel, so search up earth planters and give that one a look because those have been fantastic planters for me. They have a hanging basket, which I need to do a video on that too because the hanging basket is incredible. The best hanging baskets I have ever had. I can't say enough good things about the earth planter hanging baskets. And you also want to make sure that you're feeding your roses. I love to give them a rose fertilizer. You can buy a liquid, you can find a granular, you can find synthetic, you can find organic. I generally have them listed in my Amazon store, the ones that I like. If you want a whole video on that kind of thing, let me know. I would be happy to put one together for you. Let me know. I'd be happy to put one together for you. Why do my roses have black spot, and how do I get rid of it, prevent it, avoid it, whatever? Pruning is one of those things that is going to help keep you from having black spot in the first place because like I said, you need good airflow. If you're noticing black spot on parts of your rose, I just cut off those leaves. I keep alcohol in a little spritzer in my garden, and so I just take dollar store scissors. You can use your clippers, you can use whatever. I am losing things constantly all the time, but I'll just clip off those leaves, spritz the scissors or whatever so it's not spreading from plant to plant. So make sure you're spraying in between infected and non-infected. I am not growing plants for, I know I'm like here on YouTube, but I grow my plants for me, and so it's not that deep for me. So black spot, yeah, it happens. Yeah, it can kill your plant. Great, I'll go rose shopping and get some more. Like, it's fine. Again, I know some people have sentimental plants and that makes it a problem. So keep up your good pruning and your airflow, and then that will help you out a lot with your black spot. You can also apply a systemic fungicide or an organic fungicide if you want to. That can help prevent as well. Again, black spot comes from humidity and wet leaves. If you are in Utah like I am or another dry desert place, the only time I've really had it bad enough that it bothered me is when I had a sprinkler that was hitting my plants and they weren't getting enough airflow because I wasn't pruning them to make the leaves dry off quickly enough. So keep that in mind with your sprinkler systems as well. I have sprinkler on my lawn and the wind direction blowing, it was actually some hydrangeas that had fungal problems because the wind blows against. So I'm gonna put some systemic fungicide on those roses pretty soon, like today. whenever, and get them prepped for this season. I think if I do that this year and prune them a little bit better next year, I won't even need to do that the year after. So just think about the sprinkler and the watering systems that you have going on too, because that can also kind of affect things in a way that you don't think about. Do expensive roses perform better? In my experience, no, absolutely not. I have found all kinds of great roses. I'm actually an ambassador. I'm doing a couple sponsored posts for Bloomables on Instagram this summer. This is not a sponsored video in any way, but I ended up working with them because I love their roses so much, and I think they're very affordable. You can find a lot of their roses even at Walmart, all kinds of different places. And it's about the time of year that you're going to start seeing those roses. So keep an eye out. If you see anything with the Bloomables or the Scentables, knockout roses, roses by Star Plants. In Utah, I have had great success with those. My very expensive roses I ordered and they were shipped to me, and they have not performed nearly as well in my climate as the other roses that I'm talking about. They need more iron, they've needed more maintenance, they've had more pest pressure. So the Bloomables ones I have really enjoyed because they were very low maintenance and high reward. And that's why I would recommend the Bloomables and the Knockout brand as a really great brand for beginners because they have been bred to have a higher disease and pest resistance. Now, this brings us back to what I was talking about with pruning. Those plants, I just take my hedge trimmers and around them. I have this Black & Decker hedge trimmer that I got for my husband for Father's Day years. I keep buying him stuff that I steal. Noticing a trend here. So sorry, I am stealing all your stuff. You get good stuff. What can I say? So I take his hedge trimmers and I like to trim them back by about a third. Again, if I haven't, we have one shrub outside of his window, his office, and then my office windows. I like to keep mine a little bit shorter, and he wanted a larger, bigger shrub. So we have double pink knockout roses in our garden, and those, you can keep them small or you can keep them big. I prefer them a little smaller. I think it's easier to manage them, but if you want to do them big, why not grow them big? They're a great one if you need that option. So there's a single knockout, and then there's the double knockout like I grow. I love double flowers in general. Anything with more petals, I'm probably going to buy it. Pansies, anything. Petunias, I just love the extra petals. It's harder to find the doubles, I will say, and double pink is really hard to find too. I feel like Home Depot stocks the red, and occasionally you might find the double red at Home Depot too. But the white, the double white, and the pink, I actually did have to order those online. I know Home Depot stores are different from place to place, so you might have them in yours. Well, I'm going to get out and start tying up some of my rose bushes that are shooting up over my arbor. They're just shooting straight up in the air, but I wanted to wrap them down a little bit. I've got more roses coming, so let me know if you want to see a recap of those. Give me a follow here and on Instagram. I would love to chat more about gardening things, and I will see you next time.